My spinning wheel turns. My spinning wheel turns, Tink purrs. From her regal place upon my lap, blended Angora, Romney, and silk glide through my hand, slightly twisted, then onto the orifice and onto the flyer hooks, winding on the bobbins, soft silken strands. Tink purrs, my spinning wheel turns. I've always enjoyed 4-H. It's a wonderful learning experience, and you get to meet so many fascinating, wonderful people. And of course, there's nothing like a county fair with all the livestock and the people and the sawdust and the lemon shake-ups. And it's a marvelous thing. As a kid on a farm, we had a small club in Brooklyn called the Brooklynettes. We met in the basement of the old Brooklyn grade school. There were like 20-some kids of us, most of us farm kids. And I began with the usual things, cookies. I made a skirt, showed a rabbit. We were very poor on the farm, so whatever I took had to be things from the farm. And I remember when I bought the fabric for my apron at Adler's department store in Mooresville, it was 25 cents a yard, and it was hard to come up with 25 cents. I learned handwork, needlework, at the knee of my great-grandmother. She had a stroke when I was 7, and I was sent to be her caregiver. And every afternoon we did needlework. In the summertime, after school, whatever. She was a lace maker and a quilter. To me, it's great, that accomplishment of finishing something from scratch, taking a design and going forward. She taught me to knit and to tat and to quilt, flat pattern work, so I can make my own patterns and designs. And I learned to sew on her treadle sewing machine. Really, she gave me a wealth of knowledge. I discovered an ancestress who spun and wove in ancient Scotland. She sold herself into indenture and came here and spun and wove in Virginia, then married the 4th son in the family, and they came up here to Indiana, and that's where she died. But nobody in my family in all that time spun and wove until she decided that, well, Donna Jo's going to do it. So I do, and I thank her every day for her gifts, because it's just amazing what I know that I don't know. You know, I'm just constantly amazed, and I feel a kindred spirit to her whenever I sit down to work. And I hope she's pleased. Since I raise my own fiber, one of the things that I begin with is actually the sheep, the Angora goats, or the Angora bunnies. I do my own shearing, my own harvesting, my own washing of wools, carding, spinning. I love for everything that comes off my farm to be from the farm. I try and put some of my sheep, some of my Angora goats, some of my Angora bunnies, are dyed with the colors from the farm. The wool comes off the sheep very dirty. Goes into cold water, soak overnight, and then I wash it in big tubs out back, and it comes clean and lofty. Then I began, and I let the fiber tell me what it wants to be. As I'm carding or working on it, it will almost describe what it wants to become. If it wants to spin very fine, then it's going to look into something like a lacy scarf. If it wants to spin a little heavier, then it's going to be a sweater or a jacket or a blanket. I have a lot of conversations with fibers. Before I pick colors, a lot of times I'll lay them out for several days in different lights to talk to each other, to see how we're going to get along. And quite often they will change my mind many times. And I just kind of go with it. And when I'm baffled and can't decide which direction to go, I'll go out and hug a bunny. I'll go out and take Cupcake for a walk, my ram. I'll go out and recharge my batteries from the farm. My work is all about what comes off the farm with my ancestors' influence and her blessings. Being a 15th generation farmer and doing what I do, I think it's important that the kids understand the continuity of farm life and the respect that you have for the land and the animals and how it all has to come together. I weave coverlets, I weave blankets, I weave shawls, scarves, all kinds of things, but I try and play a little bit with the design so that it's not set your teeth on edge, but that it looks a little different. And it's funny, every once in a while I'll be walking through the Home and Family Arts building and I'll hear somebody say, well, that looks like Donna Jo's work, is that? And that makes me feel good. I think my work, if nothing else, is fresh because you're not seeing the same stuff all the time. Even though there is a thread, a flavor, it's different. Ode to a warp. Round and round, back and forth, one strand at a time, sometimes two. Hand-spun yarn and color in a soldier's line. Each strand straight, taut, and even this time. A warp, my warp is wound. Tied yarn butterfly knots run all along the warp bundles, doing their best to keep it tight. 'Tis but a few steps from warping board to loom, but there are fiber kitties lurking in the room. A feline gauntlet to be run. 680 ends tied softly chained, lying loosely in my arms, held up high trying to avoid tooth and claw harm. A fluffy tail whips, ears on point, whiskers twitch. Oh, please, kitty, let's be friends. Softly singing as I cross, praying music will tame these savage beasts. Nice kitty, pretty kitty, be good, girls. Claws need rest. Tails flip and twitch. Heads turn to watch, but they stay. Could it be perhaps I'm boss? Relieved, I lay my yarn bundles upon the cloth beam, all safe and sound. As it's 9 yards long, I let the chains softly fall to the floor. I spread them out along the beam. Time to untie and thread. So far, so little trouble. The reed and harness threading I begin, following ancient pattern, adding texture of my own. 1 end per dent, then harness 4. Harness 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. A rose path, older than memory, but my favorite best. I soon forget feline fretting. Colorful chains of hand-spun yarn make their way across the warp beam, resting in reed and harness, tied in small pattern bundles that harness back. Not exactly a mess. The threading goes quickly, and soon it's time for lunch and tea. Leaving it now won't do any harm. Kitty, kitty, kitty. I do honor and respect the gifts and talents that I've been given, and I am so thankful for the chance to do my work and for people to enjoy it. I think it's important that people understand that I am a dinosaur, that there aren't very many people like me left in the world who live simply and produce simply from the farm, from your surroundings, from nature, from the talents and gifts that are given. Spinning is 20,000 years old, and the way I spin, sometimes I'm reinventing it. But on the other hand, I'm thankful for the knowledge and the talents and the gifts. And I just would like for people to understand that simple is also very good. I've gone to other state fairs, and they don't have the flavor we've got here. I don't know if it's that Hoosier flavor that's part of the fair, but it's just an incredible thing